Hello, it's Brian. Today, going to talk about Pink Floyd. First, I'm going to go over the long players I have. I have Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Piper at the Gates of Dawn on mono, actually. Came out last year, a new mono mix, or the remaster on mono, on vinyl. Picked it up. Don't know the difference, but I like the album quite a bit. Was willing to just try it, buy it. Record store was talking about having it, so I was like, I want a copy too, and I bought one. That album has Syd Barrett, their original frontman. It's the only album he predominantly appears on. He is a legendary case, a casualty in a way. Lost potential, maybe you could say. It's hard to really say that, but you still love what he's done, or people do love what he's done. Maybe you think it's not as good, just the start of it, etc. But certain people take it more seriously than others. It's tough to say. But the next one I have on vinyl, he's still on, Syd Barrett, but also David Gilmour. This is their second long player. A Saucer Full of Secrets. Syd Barrett is still on this. David Gilmour is a guitarist, and he sings lead very sparingly. It's still a lot of Roger Waters and Richard Wright singing lead a lot of times, but David does sing a little bit, but not very much, really. Really like this album. It's really interesting, still cool. I don't know what to say about it, but I think it's really cool. There's some really interesting Richard Wright tracks that musicians really like. Not that I'm a musician, but I still haven't enjoyed it myself. I like the Roger Waters songs and Psychedelia and Still Psychedelic Touch. And the construction of the track A Saucer Full of Secrets. And Syd is on here in places, and he sings lead on one track. A very weird track. A little sad, interesting though, for sure. And the other Pink Floyd album I actually have on vinyl is another, probably a head scratcher for a lot of people, but I really love the cover. I like the album as well. It's a double album. I have no idea how to actually say it. Umaguma, whatever. There's a live album on here, and there's an album of really creative stuff that might not quite hit the wall or have interest, but it's still interesting in my opinion. But this is a really interesting, cool LP. Check it out. What could I say? Like I said, it's a little of an acquired taste. It's very difficult, but the live tracks are really good. You have David Gilmour doing Syd Barrett tracks and tracks from, actually, I don't really know what to say too well about it. He's still not singing very much, if anywhere, just a little bit in places. There's a lot of cool, weird tracks on it. Even on the live album, but the live album's really wicked too. But the other album isn't so much as... But you can grow to love it, maybe. And for the finale tonight, I'm going to talk about my impressions of the 50-year-old album, The Dark Side of the Moon, one of the most famous albums of all time. We got a light going through a prism to a rainbow. Roy G. Biv. But what do I think of this album? Do I think it's rubbish? Do I like it? I like it a lot. I think it's really good. I love it. This isn't a full-blown review. I'm just gonna say impressions of it. And the album is just basically experiences in life. And there's a lot of time and quantities and values added to those quantities and ways, and maybe cynicism about it, and commented on with the songs. There's a lot of, from a liberal arts perspective, there's a lot of things with the quadrivium with this album, with astronomy and quantity and counting in general, and the moon as well. In a strange way, the moon is a mysterious celestial thing. It's not quite a planet, it orbits planets, so. And even the dark side of that thing that's orbiting a planet. So if you think about that, the side that's not shining on the sun. But getting a little weird and esoteric here, not just saying things, but those are just some things I noticed. I don't know, it's just kind of connected to life and experiences, and it's just a really interesting statement about it. So straightforward, so relatable, so universal, the lyrics and the song titles. And also, I just wanted to mention a weird Beck connection with this album. He released an album called Colors. And in one of his songs, he mentions the dark side of the moon, kind of not in a referential dark side of the moon, Pink Floyd way, but just as a relevant point to his lyrics, just as a statement on his album Colors. And that's kind of connected to this in a way, because there's a track called Any Color You Like. And the cover of the album even illustrates colors in a way, in a very dark and kind of stark way, but the colors are there, and it's just kind of an interesting that I noticed. I'm kind of a weird fan of that Beck album in a way, and it's just interesting that Beck kind of referenced it. And he didn't reference the album, but he used the title of the album, not in a stupid way, but it related to the lyrics of the song. And not quite seamless, but a certain way. And the album is also about death as well, and just being and stopping, not being anymore. One of the tracks that illustrates that is the track, The Great Gig in the Sky. So if you really think about it, that could be when it's all over, when we're not here anymore. If you think about it in a certain way, that great gig in the sky, when we're not around anymore, it could mean when we're not here in heaven or another place, just not here anymore in that weird space. I don't know for sure on this, but that's just a speculation, but that seems to be kind of related to death in a way. And there's also a connection with Syd Barrett on this album, most particularly on the track Brain Damage. And that's just very apparent. And maybe that even brought his interest to kind of reunite with the band in an unsuccessful way for the next album. But we don't really know that for sure. This is just kind of speculation there. And it also, the Brain Damage track also illustrates disconnection with kind of the the world, the normal time or rhythm that you hear on Time and Breathe, the first track, and Speak to Me. So this is kind of why it's a signature album. But why else is it? I couldn't tell you, but it really sticks with me when I listen to it. I have an interest in it as well. And when you're listening to it, you just hear revisiting music things, elements, and there's also a flow without hesitation with the recording. It just there's no hesitation at all. There's no fade outs or anything. It all kind of goes together, making it a very cohesive album and confident album in how it's structured in a way. So that makes it very strong in my opinion. Like just the transition from a lot of tracks, just listen to it, there's no hesitation going from one track to the next. And another thing that really sticks out to me is the use of everyday kind of sounds and noises, whether it's like airplanes, helicopters, that might instill fear and like reminders of things like war and where we've gone to at that time and this time and before that even. And you hear people talking without context, and sometimes it's in a judgmental way and you don't know what they're actually saying, but they're talking. So that kind of adds a lot of mystery in the tracks, and it's in a lot of tracks. It's not just in a few. And it's kind of out of context. And there's also like noise, muffled sound, like voices coming from a radio as well, in connection with like the airplanes and helicopters. So it's kind of used in a very interesting, indirect way without saying, "Oh, war is such a terrible thing." It just shows that, I don't know, it shows the disconnect and the difficulty of these situations. And there's just this darkness and light theme about the album that just goes without saying. It's all in the cover. Darkness of the weird thing that orbits us and the sun, and we orbit the sun as a planet. And my favorite tracks, I would say, are On the Run, Us and Them, Any Color You Like, maybe Breathe, Speak to Me, or The Great Gig in the Sky. That's all I have to say. I still think the album's amazing. Cheers.